right, so probably not going to get a lot of people in here, but I'm in the garage. I'm reloading. I figured if any of you guys are online and you want to talk about current events and what's going on, we can. Of course, I'll actually wait for someone to show up. So till then, I'm just going to be screwing off. Now, for the YouTube overlords, I am just sizing cases. I am not manufacturing ammunition. I have no firearms. I'm not doing anything dangerous. All my powder and primers are locked up in my blast cabinet around the corner, so I have no explosives. So don't try to turn my stuff off. So anyways, it's going on 4 o'clock here in Central Time Zone. Like I said, I'm just in the garage. I'm hanging out. I'm sizing or resizing some 5.56 and 2 casing because I just put an order of like 1,000 rounds of super high speed crazy fun ammo in from Ronells and fun. I got these cases cleaned and deprimed. I broke my deprimer, so I'd ordered a new one. Lee, for God's sake, can you make a deprimer that doesn't bend and break all the time? It's stupid. It's stupid. But anyways, we're here, so we're talking about the stuff going on. So if anyone hasn't seen, I should have my live chat open. So if you guys want to ask questions, make comments, throw them up there. I'll read them. I can multitask. But the Texas Suppressor Freedom Bill is still going on. I've been conversating with some different YouTube lawyers. They're actual lawyers. I'm just the guy who's smarter than your average person. And discussing about the fine details. I know the details of it. And there's still a lot of misconceptions going on. The big thing is about, I'm going to say when it gets passed. I think right now with the Bruen case and all the Supreme Court cases that have passed recently, it's strengthened our chance of winning for non-interstate comments. I'm going to call them gun mufflers. But I think it's going to pass here in Texas. But the big question people are always asking is, can they make their own? And the big problem, the majority of it, is mostly written for people who are going to buy their own suppressor versus manufacture. Now, there's some verbiage I'm smoking a little bit, but don't worry. It's not marijuana. It's just tobacco, which is just as bad for you. So who's even watching? Can you guys send me a comment? Let me know who you are. I'm on my phone, so I don't know who's watching. I know there's like a 30-second delay, but it'd be nice to know. And then let me know if the audio and video is okay. I don't want the... Oh, no, they disappeared. Nobody loves me. Paul Burke. Have we met Paul? It sounds familiar. Audio is okay. Is the video not flickery? Sometimes the connection in my garage is kind of shitty. But anyways, so one of the big things is it talks about manufacturing the suppressors here in the state of Texas. And if you do, video is choppy sometimes and grainy. Yeah, sorry about that. Like I said, I'm in the garage. I need to get a Wi-Fi extender in here, but we got one upstairs for the kids' TVs, so. Oh, you're friends with CJ? Okay. Yeah. Everyone's like, oh, you're that guy who hangs around CJ. Like, technically he hangs around me because I'm the bigger person. And, the larger... the video is a little choppy. Gonna be shit. Wi-Fi... No, this has to be from parts that are manufactured in the state of Texas, minus small parts, and they mention screws, nuts, bolts, things of that nature, which I don't think whoever wrote the bill. It would be nice, YouTube, if you would stop throttling my damn channel. But most of them don't. Now, the big issue, as I talked about in a previous video, is when exactly is a part manufactured. So, if they say manufactured, so let's say I want to build my own. Does that mean I have to get aluminum that was manufactured in the state of Texas? Do I have to get bar stock that was manufactured in the state of Texas? To what extent does it have to be made in Texas? Because when you look at the ATF definitions of when something is made of Texas, or I'm sorry, when something's manufactured, it's when it's finished. Just like why solvent traps, unless you get the Chinese ones where the monocore is already finished, that technically is a suppressor by federal law. It's not actually a suppressor or suppressor part until it's fully machined. So, by looking at the definition of when a part is fully machined or actually a suppressor part is when it is finalized. So if you were to buy basically a solvent trap, or I call them 80% suppressors, it's not actually a part for a suppressor until you do the final bit of machining, whether it be drilling a hole or putting threads on it or whatever it might be. So if you were to buy a suppressor kit from out of state or out of country or wherever, but none of the parts are fully done, if you do the final bit of fitting and machining and so on while you're inside the state of Texas, technically that means they were manufactured in the state of Texas using raw materials from another source, just not unmachined raw materials. So that's what the legal definition for the most part is if you look at the federal ruling for what completed parts are. Now, obviously, across the nation, like to look at, but a lot of people don't realize the Kansas case, even though they technically they legalize suppressors, Texas legalized suppressors, but the way Texas it is by using the definition of interstate commerce versus, multi-state commerce, and they learned a lot from the Kansas case and figured out what the mistakes were and how to rectify that. Also, by going into a lawsuit, by basically putting a stay on the federal government and being able to correct all the shortfalls that they found that Kansas had made, which is really nice because that creates a blueprint for any other state that wants to do the same thing. So I think Texas did this the smart way, maybe not the most 100% perfect way, but a way where it can actually be achieved. We also had the new frames and receivers crap went into effect this last week, which is just stupid. As once again, the ATF doesn't have the right to go in and modify what laws. You can't just have a governmental organization that can step up and say, "Hey, well, we're just going to decide what we want to do and we're going to make it into law." Which the real dumb part about that is there was just recently a Supreme Court hearing against, I think it was public health, something of that nature, but one of the other government organizations where the Supreme Court said, hey, you can't just make up rules and make up regulations and make up laws that people have to abide by. If you have anything that's going to have legal consequences, you have to go through the House and the Senate. You have to go through the government. They have to vote on it. They have to make the new laws, and then you can enforce them. You can't just go, well, we don't like something or we think it should be like this, so this is how we're going to start enforcing it. So even with the most recent Supreme Court victories that we've had, the ATF is still going, nah, we're just going to do what we want because we're better than you and we know it. And that's the usual, stuff that they have. And of course, like always, as much as I love Ted Cruz being in Texas, Ted Cruz he's good for a soundbite. He's good for going in front of special committee hearings and making up a big, hey, look at me soundbite and I'm such a strong Texan and I'm so good. But what does he actually do? He puts these pieces of legislation up, or he backs them that he knows are never going to pass, that make people feel good, make it look like he's doing something, but he never really gets out there and pushes to have things done. It's like, what's the point of being this big vocal person? He's base C, but he gets out there and he likes sounding good, looking good, and coming across, but he's not really getting a lot done. As much as I appreciate him, he's pretty maximum. Like, he might be able to make Speaker of the House someday. well, he's senator, so the whoever the head of the senator is having a brain fart, but the top of the Senate. But like when it comes to president or stuff like that, no. Maybe the governor of Texas, I could see that happening. But president, no, he doesn't have the balls for president because he likes to talk, but he's not good when it comes to actually getting stuff done. He's a lot like Greg Abbott, great at talking, but when it comes to standing up and getting things done, not very good at it. Sorry, Greg Abbott, but I got to make a few jokes. You kind of suck at shit. So yeah, 80% receivers, which I don't understand because the kit keeps the law for it keeps referring to 80% receiver kits, which is really confusing because if you look technically, you can still buy the 80% receiver by itself and the kit to manufacture it without the receivers separately and just have them from two different places and it would be legal. But then they turn around and say, oh, well, it can't be machined at all other than like if you want to AR-15, a block of aluminum or 3D print something. It's like you can't say one thing in the law and then turn around into explanation and say something completely different. None of these people who write these bills have any clue what the hell they're talking about. Because you say one thing and then you explain something completely different. Just like in the new assault weapon ban they're trying to push. I've read through it. I have notes on it. I haven't had a chance to do a video because school started being crazy. But they're talking about, how they want to get rid of weapons of war and they don't want these, high-powered assault rifles. But yet they specifically exempt the M1 carbine, the M1A1, the semi-automatic bar. So it's like, okay, so I can have a 308 that has a detachable box magazine, but because it doesn't have a pistol grip, it's perfectly fine. I can have a Mini 14 as long as it has a wood stock. It's fine. If I put a plastic stock on it, it's an assault rifle and it's a dangerous weapon. But as long as I shoot it like this and not like this, it's okay. SKS, can't have an AK-47. No, assault weapon, deadly. But because SKS, you shoot like that, perfectly fine. No, that's not an assault weapon. It's not a deadly weapon of war, even though it's literally a weapon that was used in wars for a very long time and specifically designed for military use. And I've heard some pretty dumb stuff back and forth. People think they know guns, and the guy tried telling me the AR-15 is based off the AR-5. And if you guys haven't seen it, Google it. The AR-5 is literally a 22 bolt action gun that folds into its own stock that they gave pilots. So in case they crash, you got a little survival rifle until they can, get rescued. It's like, let's see, semi-automatic, gas-operated, air-cooled, magazine-fed weapon, 22 bolt action with a 5-round magazine that folds into itself. That's not the same thing. Stop it. You're stupid. I understand he probably meant the AR-10. And then even then, people they keep spreading the same thing. Oh, the AR-15 was meant for, combat use. No. The AR-10 was designed for the military. Which, by the way, you can still find those things on gun trader sites. Pretty cool, man. Eventually, when I get like 15 grand, Jimmy's going to get an AR-18 and an AR-10. I love Stoner's work. But no, the AR-15 was like, okay, we had the AR-10. We tried it in the military. Limited use. It really didn't pick up because, we were trying to replace the M1, which is then moved to the M1A1 and 308. And it was an improvement, and they liked it, but it wasn't super popular. And then, of course, the Army's like, yeah, we're looking for a smaller caliber weapon. Understandable. But the AR-15 was like, hey, let's take this AR-10, which was our military weapon, which is full auto with 308, but let's design something for the civilian market because we already have this really cool design. So let's shrink the thing down. Let's put a 223, which is a varmint cartridge in it, and we're going to advertise the hunters and backpackers. That's what the AR-15 was. And then, it sold pretty well, and Colt came up and said, hey, that's a pretty cool design. How much you want for it? We'll give you like whatever amount of money. And Colt got it. And Colt's like, hey, you know, be cool. The Army's asking for an intermediate cartridge weapon. Let's throw a full automatic trigger in that biatch. And Colt turned around and said to the military, hey, give this guy a try. And that's how we got the M16. It wasn't military first. It was civilian first. A lot of people are thinking, oh, it was designed to kill people. The military literally adopted the M16 because of its lack of killing power. They want they were seeing what's going on in Vietnam. They said, "Hey, we want a weapon that will wound someone and take them out of the fight, but not necessarily kill them." Because after World War II and the millions of people killed, we realized, hey, maybe we shouldn't be killing as many people, and we should be just wounding them to take them out of the fight, making sure they can't fight again, but not necessarily killing them, because World War II was a bitch. So they came up, 5.56 is a great round. Well, they took the 2.23. A lot of people don't realize, it's pretty good for rolling your old cigarettes. They don't stay lit very well. That the 5.56 and 2.23, there's not many differences between them. The 5.56 is just the specifications of a 2.23 round for the military. You have to have a certain case thickness. You have to have a certain annealment. You have to have certain primer. You have to use certain powder. You have to use a certain bullet. That's all it is. It's just military specification 2.23. I know because I load 5.56 rounds. I'll get Lake City Brass. It's 5.56. I'll sort them out. I use CCI number 41 military spec primers. I use H335 powder. I use SS109 rounds. I make my own 5.56, and I run them a little bit hotter than the military does. Their feet per second's up in the 3,800 range, but they're fun. But yeah, and all these people are talking about, you get shot with an AR-15, it's going to blow a hole in you the size of a grapefruit. But in the same time, when you tell them no, it's actually a weaker cartridge. Yeah, I got a light again. Shut up. Then they'll be like, oh, well, you can get shot with an AR-15. It'll bounce off your femur and then bounce off your rib cage and come out your wrist. It's like, so which one is it? Is it something that's going to blow a hole in you the size of a grapefruit? Or is it something that's so weak, it's going to bounce off a bone and bounce around your body? By the way, if that happens, usually the round is tumbling when it hits you, which means it's not that powerful. And it's so small and rounded that it won't actually rip any of your organs. It'll just bounce around them and then boop, pop out and not kill you. It can if it just happens in artery right or your heart or your liver. Yeah, you don't want to clip your liver. That's a bad day right there. You don't realize that getting hit in the liver is worse than getting hit in the artery. At least you can, put a tourniquet on an artery. You can't put a tourniquet in your liver. You're pretty much bleeding from it. You're done. You got about 3 minutes to make it to a surgical unit or you're dead. But no, it's usual misconception. That, and I know I was talking about we're talking about most modern ARs. What's the next big evolution in AR-15s? And then I'm looking at, if you look at the new Army rifle, which is the M5, which the M5 platform's been around for a while now. Basically the 308 version of the AR-18. Same thing with like the Sig Veritas, the Rattler. Literally, those are just slightly modified versions of the AR-18. And the AR-18, that was designed 1963. Feel free to fact check me. I want to say it's 1963 by Stoner. Yeah. So we've had the next generation of AR-15 for, almost 60 years now. And, luckily Brownells realized, hey, this is a great gun. They came out with their AR-180, which is cool because it's AR-18 upper that you can put on any standard AR-15 lower. I got one in my safe. I love it. One of my most favorite guns. But why are we looking at, we need to change technology. We need to do all this great stuff. when we've had it for 60 or 59 years now. Take what technology we already have and then use it to adapt. It's like, hey, we don't need a buffer tube. We can have an AR-15 with a set mass buffer, dual spring, gas piston. We can make an adjustable gas piston system, so that way if you want to run subsonic, twist the end. I actually had a really good idea I came up with. I pitched it to Mark Serbu. I haven't heard back from him. I heard back from his daughter, Valerie. I really doubt she's watching, but super nice lady. And I don't know if you guys watch Grand Thumb, or as I call him, Flannel Daddy. He had his Chris Vector 45 full auto. And if you guys see the video, I think it came out like last week, 2 weeks ago, something like that. He had this, and you can drop a 33 round stick mag of 45 ACP in under a second. This thing, it's just ridiculously fast. But because of the recoil reduction system in the Chris Vectors, there's almost no recoil, so you just knock it out. And I was thinking, because I was a saw gunner in the military, and the saw, if you have the full barrel, you have that little gas adjuster knob on the bottom. If you have the short barrel, it's a fixed rate. Unless you're me and you bore out, shoots a little faster, whatever. But in the military, because all the M16s and M4s are going to full auto now, we're just replacing them. It's going to be full auto. But there's times in the military, in combat use, where it would be an advantage to be able to have full auto with different rates of fire. Now, normally that'd be easy to do, if you just have a gas piston system. But when you're in a combat situation, you don't necessarily want to stop, reach up, and if you've been shooting that gas piston, it's going to get hot. If you look at the PTRs, you look at any of the HKs or the SIGs, they all already have adjustable gas systems. It's on the gas block. But once again, they get warm, and if you're in a combat situation, you've already dropped 300-400 rounds. Touching that thing, you're going to burn your hands. Plus, you got to stop, you got to reach forward, you got to do it. It makes a lot of movements and hazards of burning yourself. So I came up with an idea of having a adjustable cyclet rate that goes on the selector switch of an AR platform rifle. So you would have, your safe, semi, full auto, and then you would have your full fast auto. And the idea is pretty simple. It'd be a long stroke gas system, so the gas would come up, it would come down a tube. It'd be basically a reduced diameter tube where you have a short gas system connected to the bolt carrier group. And inside that bolt carrier group would be a small bleed-off valve. And that bleed-off valve would be in the normally open, either semi-automatic or regular or semi-automatic or full automatic, standard full automatic fire. It would bleed off a certain amount of gas that would reduce the cyclet rate. So, it would reduce recoil because the bolt wouldn't be traveling as quickly. Same thing, standard full automatic. It would only move so quickly. But inside the, behind the gas piston, where the bleed off is, there would be a rotating cylinder that basically just has one little part where it's blank, and when you rotate it, you have the cutout, so that way it would bleed off more gas. And when you hit the switch over, a lever would push up, it would hit that little rotating cylinder on the bolt that would click over. The cylinder, a higher cyclet rate weapon, because you would close that normally open valve off to increase the cyclet rate, because you would no longer have the bleed off you would have through the bolt. So I don't know. I'm still putting it down in Fusion because I am not super skilled in Fusion, but I just do basic stuff for 3D printing, but one thing at a time. Okay, so it looks like my view has just been kind of crappy and I'm doing a lot of mumbling. So I'm going to cut this off for now. If anyone has any questions, comments, or concerns, if they watch this in the future, feel free to leave it in the comment section. I'm sorry this video is so glitchy. I will try to do live streams with hopefully a better internet connection in the future. Y'all have a good one.